We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Prasno Upanishad, 6th chapter, the 2nd verse. In the first verse of this chapter, the student Sukesha Bharatwaja, he is a prince, and he is a student, and he said there was a prince of Koshala who approached him and asked him a question. And the question was, what is the Purusha of 16 parts? Now, this student, Sukesha, he didn't know the answer. And therefore, he asked his guru, Pipalada, the same question. That was mentioned in the first verse, the story part. The second verse talks about the Purusha being explained by Pipalada. The first answer he gives is, this Purusha which you are asking is in this body. Purusha generally means Chaitanya Tattva. This is the second verse which we are trying to analyze now. The 16 parts which mean this Chaitanyam is different aspects of creation. The Panchabhutas, the Prana Shakti, the mind, the Vedas, and so many different things which he is going to explain in the 4th verse. So this is the general development of this chapter. With this small background, let's go to the portion where we stopped last week. As I said, we are doing the 2nd verse. The Shankaracharya's Bashyam for this Prasno Upanishad 6th chapter is into about 600 slides. So I'm going through with you the different of all the slides one by one. So you need to be very patient in understanding this 6th chapter, the most important chapter which reveals our real nature as pure Chaitanya. As we go along, you will get a little bit more clarity in what this Chaitanyam is and how do we try to understand this Chaitanyam in our own body. The next, in the previous section, Shankaracharya explained to us why people are not able to know this Chaitanyam even though it is there within the body. And he says that our mind is always engaged with the external world or with the internal world of our emotions. The external world brought to us by the sense organs and the emotions in us, which is the vritti form, both are adhyasa, superimposition on Atma. So what happens? It is the Atma which is pure Chaitanya, which is the adhishtanam, it takes different forms in the universe. Now, this aspect, initially, when you listen to it, it may sound a little bit strange, subtle, because the nature of this topic is extremely subtle. Our mind has to become very subtle to understand this portion. In the next Bhashyam, in the 233, topic number 233, Shankaracharya explains what is the relationship between adhyasa and adhishtanam. Rope snake is adhyasa. Adhishtanam is rope. What is the relationship? What Shankaracharya says is there are four schools of philosophy who have not understood the relationship of consciousness and the world correctly. It is only Advaita Vedanta which has understood this correctly. He takes the example of Kshanika Vijnanavada of Buddhism, which existed during his time. What did they say? We have studied this Kshanika Vijnanavada in other Upanishads also. And there are two schools of thought in Buddhism. Both of them, they say that there is no world outside. Yogacara also says there is no world. Shunyavadin also says there is no world. So what is wrong with this theory? Kshanika Vijnanavada says that our consciousness is very, very momentary. It is a temporary aspect. What does Vedanta says? Consciousness is nityam, eternal. And between two consciousness, according to Shunyavada, what does it say? There is shunyam, there is nothing. So his focus is on the shunyam between the two consciousness. Whereas Advaita Vedanta will say consciousness is eternal. Shunyam is a completely wrong theory. So Astika means there are philosophers who believe in Veda like Nyaya, Vaiseshika. They also conclude, so we have seen two Buddhism schools, Yogacara and Shunyavadin. Both of them, they say there is no external world, like how Vedanta says. But they say that there is Chaitanyam, which is momentary consciousness. Nyaya and Vaiseshika, these are the other two schools of thought. What do these people say? They say that there are many nitya vastus, there are many consciousness. As many bodies are there, so many consciousnesses are there. So they say Atma is nityam and jadam, like Akasha, like mind. These are all wrong theories. Only when you understand Vedanta correctly, then you can understand what are the problems in these theories. According to Nyaya Vaiseshika, they say that whenever the mind joins this Atma, consciousness is created. So in the waking state, consciousness is created by the mind joining Atma. Atma generates consciousness. These are all wrong schools, but this is what Shankaracharya wants to explain. And what happens in the sleep state? They say there is no consciousness at all. Atma becomes jada. And this another aspect is the generated consciousness is an attribute, like the red color of a cloth. So consciousness is anityam, it is a guna, and it goes away. So these are all wrong theories of Nyaya Vaiseshikas. And according to them, mind contributes to generate consciousness. And Atma has a temporary consciousness. In the waking state, Atma joins the mind, it becomes consciousness. Atma, through the mind, contacts the sense organs and the world is experienced. But here, what is the problem? They are talking about a generated consciousness every time the mind wakes up. The problem with this is you can never get moksha, because for moksha you need a nitya vastu. A nitya vastu means there is something which is eternally there. Only by trying to understand that nitya vastu, I will be able to claim I am ever free. See, in all these discussions, there should be one point you should be keeping at the background, and that is, am I this body? Am I this mind? Or am I the consciousness which is nitya? And what is the relationship of consciousness with the body and mind? This is the inquiry we are doing in this particular paragraph. So these are all wrong philosophies which talk about anitya consciousness. If you have anitya consciousness, what will be the relationship of Atma with Manaha? Anitya. Manaha with Indriyam? Anitya. Indriyam and Vishayam. Vishayam means external world. Everything will become anityam, anityam, anityam. There will be no satya vastu at all. The jnana which you get of the anitya vastu, will it be temporary or will it also rise and fall? It will also rise and fall. Nobody can talk about nitya chaitanya. See, these are all points which Shankaracharya brings out so that our understanding of what is this Atma becomes more deeper. These things we will never discuss on our own when we just glance through the meanings of the verses. So that is the advantage of studying the Bhashyam, where we are able to spend time on these type of analysis. 5 features of consciousness which is unique to Vedanta. But these 5 features are not accepted by the other schools. 5 features we know, we have studied the 5 features. Consciousness is not a part of the body, it is not the product of the body, it is not a property of the body. Consciousness is an independent existing principle. Consciousness, after the death of the body, consciousness survives the death of the body. But it cannot be experienced because there is no medium. For example, in our sleep state, we don't experience consciousness because the mind and the body medium is not. But does it mean that I am not there? When the medium is not there, I should say body mind is not there, but I am consciousness, which is nityaha. Okay, so these are all the slides which talk about wrong films. What is Charvaka? There is another school like Charvaka, materialistic philosophers. They say that there is no combination. Four elements, Panchabhutas, they can generate consciousness by themselves. Another wrong theory. Nyaya Vaiseshika, they say Atma is there, but it is not consciousness. It is also another substance. When it combines with mind, it will create consciousness. The Charvaka, the materialist, who only say that whatever we see is the reality. So in this case also, consciousness is associated with impermanent matter as its adhishthana. All these theories are wrong. Now, in the next paragraph, Shankaracharya, see, Shankaracharya writes so many paragraphs, commentaries, and he takes so many other Upanishadic mantras to explain the nature of consciousness. In all these mantras, we should remember the nature of consciousness is being explained. Here in this next paragraph, he brings out the Vedantic teaching of Chaitanya. He uses Taittiriya Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Three Upanishads he is going to quote. See, whenever he quotes these three verses, we should also try to understand how in all the Upanishads, the same concept of Atma, Chaitanyam is being explained. Same. The nature of Chaitanyam does not change in each Upanishad. They are all talking of the Nitya Vastu. Nitya Vastu. I am of the nature of consciousness. I am immortal. I am eternal. This is the teaching. I am not the body. Body is experienced. I am not the mind. Mind is experienced. Experience does not prove reality. Like sunrise and sunset. Experience of sunrise and sunset is there, but it is not a real sunrise, it is not a real sunset. Chaitanyam eva Atma. Consciousness is Atma. Atma is not Jadam. In Nyaya Vaiseshika, they say Atma is Jadam. Atma is not a material substance, it is a non-material substance. It is a spiritual substance, which is totally different than material substance. That is why in Vedanta we say the entire world of matter is born from consciousness, exists in consciousness, and it resolves in consciousness. Keep this point at the back of your mind all the time. Very important point in Vedanta. This consciousness is beginningless. It is endless. That means time is not affect consciousness. That is why in the waking state we experience time. In the dream state we experience time. Different time than the waking time. Now, in the sleep state, there is no time experienced. In two states, there is experience of time. In one state, there is no experience of time. From all this, what is the conclusion we should draw? Conclusion is, I am timeless. This I am timeless is Swarupa Jnanam. Absolute I. beyond which there is nothing. See, this is what was revealed to Nachiketa in Kathopanishad. We are studying now Prasno Upanishad. The same Atma, the absolute I, was revealed to Nachiketa as what happens after death to Nachiketa. You continue as pure consciousness and you are immortal. That is what Yamadharmaraja explained to Nachiketa. So even in our mind, suppose a question comes to us in our mind. What happens to me if I die? Nothing will happen. This answer you will get only if you have studied Upanishads. You have done manana. That means the ideas of the Upanishads has been circulated in your mind, crystallized, and then digested. Manana and nididhyasana has happened. So I alone am is the final truth of Veda. So suppose you say I alone am. Is it before Srishti? Is it after Srishti? Is it during Srishti? That question will come in our mind. What Veda tells us is, I alone am is the truth in all the three periods of time. In the past, before creation, I alone was. While the creation is being experienced, I alone am. When the creation resolves in deep sleep state, I alone am. The Panchabhutas, they came in the waking state and they resolved in the sleep state. They came when the body was gone, they resolved when the body is gone. In the body, there is a mind. So mind is experiencing all the worldly experiences. Like you are going to office, you're cooking at home, you're taking care, you have given birth to children. All this is there. It is an experience. Vedanta never says these are not there. Veda only says it is an unreal world which we are experiencing. It is there temporarily and it will go. Mind, when it comes in contact with the world, it is called as pramata, the seer, the experiencer. The sense organs are called pramanam, the instrument through which we experience. The external objects are called prameyam. Means these are all three Sanskrit words, keep it in mind. Because consciousness is in and through all this. At the same time, consciousness can exist independently. These are all very, very fine teachings of Vedanta. That is why this Bhashyam is so important. While listening to these Bhashyams, you can get liberation. Liberation means just dropping a notion. I am not this body. I am dropping a notion. I am mortal. So, pramata, pramanam, prameyam. Try to get this point. This is called as Triputi. Subject, instrument, object. When do we have the experience of this Triputi? Waking state, yes. Dream state, yes. Sleep state also, there is not Triputi. There is a different type of Triputi. It is Karana Shariram's Vritti, which is the object in sleep state. Advaita means in Advaitam, we talk of two types of jnana. Now, this is an extremely important point which Shankaracharya builds in every Upanishad. Whether it is Kathopanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, whatever bhashyams I have studied, I have seen this topic of Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam. Every Upanishad, Shankaracharya brings it up because this is a fundamental of Vedanta. If you don't get this point, please ask me questions. You must be clear to get the deepest meaning of Vedanta. You must know what is Swarupa Jnanam, what is Vritti Jnanam. Understanding of this topic itself will give you freedom. Let me explain to you. Vritti Jnanam means knowledge which rises in the mind. This knowledge is impermanent. Number one. Number two, it is localized. In your mind, if you are awake, you will have the knowledge. Suppose you're sleeping, you will not have the knowledge of the world. So, and in the sleep state, if you are sleeping, you don't have the knowledge of the world. Very simple, very logical. So sometimes I have the knowledge of the world, sometimes I don't have the knowledge of the world. It means what? When the mind, there is something called as mind. Now, nobody can see the mind because it is invisible. Nobody can know the Atma because it is invisible. We are talking about two invisible things. Mind is an instrument only when you try to understand our experiences in the waking state and the dream state, you will know what is the mind. And this mind is the cause of some world. In the waking state, it is one world. In the dream state, another world. And in the sleep state, there is a totally different world, which is a world of nothingness. So, whenever there is a subject, object, and instrument, either the body or mind, we can have Vritti Jnanam. Suppose I don't have Vritti Jnanam. Who am I? I am of the nature of consciousness. Now that does not change. Eternally it is there. This is something which you should, you see, when the body is gone, you see, every time you always think, when the body is there is consciousness. When the body is not there, there is nothing is there. That is what is our real problem. Our real problem is we are identified with the body. Every time we are identified with the body. Dehatma bala. Dehatma abhimanya. Upanishad says, drop this identification with the body. Have a new identification with something which is nityaha. And that is what you call it as adhishtanam. And what about the experiences of body, mind, world? That is called as adhyasa. Only when you know there is an existence which is called as Chaitanyam or called as Sat, only then you will understand that the world of experience is Mithya. Otherwise, you will assume that the world is always Satya. So, Vritti is able to borrow consciousness, and when it borrows consciousness, a chid abhasa is formed in the vritti, in the mind. Mind, for example, wakes up. Mind gets The jnanam gets the power to know from where? It gets the power to know from Atma. Atma is Nitya Swarupa. It is always there. Like the electricity in a bulb. Electricity is always there. You switch on, the bulb glows. Switch off, the bulb doesn't glow. So whenever the switch on of the bulb is there, you can see the objects in the room. Similarly, the mind is that tungsten. You switch on, you see the world. Switch off, the world is gone. So there is one Sakshi, one Chaitanya, which plays the role of a waker, dreamer, sleeper. These are all Advaita Vedanta. Moksha is nothing but understanding our nature as Chaitanya. Vritti Jnanam is born from Swarupa Jnanam. Therefore, we can say Vritti Jnanam is nothing but it is Swarupa Jnanam only. Always it is Swarupa Jnanam which is there. So that is what is being explained by Shankaracharya. Now, these are all portions which I have already explained as a revision portion. I have included it for those people who revise these notes. The confusions of Nyaya Vaiseshika is that they think that Jnanam is temporary, attribute of Atma. Atma is also a Jada Vastu according to Nyaya Vaiseshika. According to Shanika Vijnanavadis, they say that consciousness is only momentary. And what does Vedanta says? Atma is Nitya. Nyaya Vaiseshika says each body there is consciousness. That means there are many, many consciousness. Bahutvam, Atma Bahutvam is their theory. What does Vedanta says? Atma Ekatva. There is only one consciousness which is appearing in many, many minds as reflections. So, Anityatvam, Bahutvam, Paratantram. Anityam is an attribute. Anitya means temporariness. Bahutva means manyness. These are all attributes. Paratantra means it is dependent. That is also attribute. So attributes always stand or together with a substance. Attributes themselves cannot be independent. So all these are all wrong theories. We are now discussing what is our Siddhanta, which refutes this Anityatvam, Bahutvam, and Paratantratvam. What do we say? Atma is Nityaha. Nitya means it is eternal. Atma is Ekaha, non-dual Advaitam Atma. And it is Swatantraha. Independently it is there. If I know this nature of Atma and I keep on thinking of this Atma, I will drop my Deha Abhimana and I will own up Atma. Shankaracharya is trying to explain to us how to drop our identification with the body. All this is all only for that. And it is always through an intellectual process. There is nothing else in Vedanta, only understanding. A clear understanding of the world will give you moksha. when you want to do this inquiry, you must keep in mind Shruti or the Shastra should be the primary pramana. I should say, Veda says this, I accept it. What about the reasoning portion? Reasoning is a secondary. If you are an Advaita Vedantin, you will say, whatever the Shastra is trying to reveal to me as Nitya Vastu, Advaita Vastu, Swatantra Vastu is my nature. But this Atma, why do we get confused? Why we are not so clear about this Atma? It is because of Adhyasa. It is mixed up with the universe, it is mixed up with the body, it is mixed up with our mind. The whole spiritual journey is how to remove this adhyasa, this superimposition, which has happened in my mind, because of which I say I am born. It is like the crystal and the red flower or a blue flower. The blue flower in a crystal, it only gives the color temporarily. That is why it is called as upadi. The crystal is always pure. But when I see the blue color, blue flower and the crystal together, I think it is a blue crystal or a red crystal. Similarly, when the mind is seen together with this consciousness, or the sense organs are seen together with this consciousness, I wrongly say I am the body and mind or the sense organs. I forget I am the one which is behind all this. Okay, so this is how we should try to understand what is Adhisthana, which is Satyam, what is Adhyasa, which is Chidabhasa, which is Mithya, and what are the vrittis. You see, the world comes to us only in the form of thoughts. In the sleep state, there are no thoughts. In the sleep state, there is no world. Swarupa Jnanam remains eternally as me. That is why it is called as Swarupa. Swarupa means it never undergoes a change. And it is the same Swarupa Jnanam, the same I, the absolute I, it appears as Vritti Jnana. Vritti and consciousness, they are not two separate substances. Vritti, a thought, is only a form of consciousness only. It takes time to understand this, but listen to it so that our mind, if it is pure, if it becomes purer as we listen more and more to Vedanta. These are the finer points which will strike you. Superficially, we'll say vritti is different, I am different, I am seeing the vritti. But suppose I am not there, can the vritti remain by itself? No. Vritti cannot stand without consciousness. That is why we say mind is nothing, but it is a form of consciousness. There are two angles to look at the wood. We can say wood, carpenter called to make this table. So table is not wood. So table is something different because carpenter is involved. Vritti is like you saying that the table and wood are not exactly the same. They're essentially one and the same if you know the meaning of the table and the wood, they mean same thing. Similarly, vritti and consciousness, they are not two different aspects, but they are one and the same consciousness. Swarupa Jnanam alone appears as temporary vritti jnana. When does this happen? When does Swarupa Jnanam become vritti jnanam, waking state and dreams? Also, sleep state. Why do I say sleep state is also vritti jnanam? Shankaracharya says, vritti jnanam in the sleep state belongs to the karana sharira vritti. Karana shariram vritti is different than the sukshma sharira vritti. Much more subtler. Karana sharira vritti says there is nothing in the world. Nothingness is nothing, but it is a vritti, according to Shankaracharya. Now, here, let's come back to this Shodashakala Purusha, which is being asked in Prasno Bashyam. Shodashakala is the different aspects of consciousness which comes in vritti as vritti jnanams. How is this project? What is this project? How does that one consciousness appears as the world is the project which we are trying to understand in these verses 2, 3, 4, 5. Mundak Upanishad also says that in our own heart, there is a consciousness which understands the manifestation and unmanifestation of the world. When there is manifestation, you have the mind and vrittis. When there is unmanifestation, the vrittis are gone. All philosophers, they miss the point, which is the central teaching of Vedanta. In the mind, there are two types of vrittis, aham vritti and idam vritti. Aham vritti means what? That is what we are going to see in the meditation today. There is going to be a meditation on the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where we are going to study what is this aham. Now, aham means that pure consciousness identifies with the body, and then it will say aham. Or it will identify with the mind and it will say aham. What about idam vrittis? Idam vrittis are different. When I am not saying aham, and there is a vritti of the world which comes into my mind, that is called as idam vritti. For those who are trying to do meditation, try to see whether you can understand this in meditation. It's fairly easy when it comes to trying to understand this in meditation. When you say closed eyes, you say aham, aham, aham. There is no idam vritti. Suppose you stop saying aham. Automatically the mind will throw some of the worldly objects. Those are called as idam vritti. This vritti is a upadi, like the red flower in a crystal. The red flower seemingly makes that crystal red. The thoughts seemingly make me the consciousness as unreal, because thoughts are unreal. So whenever the thoughts are there, I feel that thoughts are there, thoughts are gone in sleep. So I am red, I am like that red flower only. This is the definition of the upadi. Upadi means something which can change the vision of the upahitam seemingly. Vritti can change the vision of I, the consciousness. Okay? Okay, so these are all some of the very, very fine points of Shankaracharya's analysis. Like I told you, there are three Upanishads he's bringing out in his analysis in this topic. Taittiriya Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Vedantic. Taittiriya Upanishad, in the second chapter, which is the main chapter, Brahmananda Vili, it says, Brahmavidat noti param tadesham yuktam satyam jnanam. All of you know this very well. We have done the Taittiriya in very big detail with Shankara Bashyam. So, Vedanta starts with many, but Atma is only one. Atma is there in all the minds. Minds are many. Consciousness, which is behind the mind, is one. So, Nityam, Advitiyam, Swatantram. Keep these three Sanskrit words in your mind. Nityam, eternal. Advitiyam, non-dual. Swatantram, independent. These are the features of consciousness which we can meditate and we can realize I am ever free. Aitareya Upanishad is the second quote where it says Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam means the consciousness in this body is Brahman. The Jivatma, the inner essence of the Jivatma is Brahman, is Paramatma. Why? Because Prajnanam means it is Chaitanya. All of us. The one thing you should understand is Upanishad says whether it is you or me or somebody else, the nature of ours is the same. We are all conscious human beings. Consciousness is the spiritual aspect in us. It doesn't change between a person to a person. Vedantic Upanishad says, if you think that you are born or somebody is born, then it is ajnana. But suppose you say, he is unborn. That means you are a jnani. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma means that ultimately knowledge of consciousness in the intellect is called as Vijnanam. Okay? That is Vedantic Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we see different types of Ananda, happiness. There is something called as Swarupa Ananda, which is Nityananda. I am Atma. Suppose you are able to say and hold on to it. This is called as Nirupadika Ananda. There is no upadi called as the body or mind. I am. That's my Swarupa. What is Anitya Ananda? Anitya Ananda means temporary Ananda. I smile for some time, again my smile goes away. The smile is nothing but it is pratibimba. It is a reflected happiness. Suppose I am very happy today because of some good news. But that good news is what brings me which brings me the smile in my face. But that, according to Vedanta, is a temporary phenomena. It is sopadika. Sopadika means what? That happiness which is created in the mind because of the vrittis which are generated due to external situations is temporary. Okay, this is another aspect. See, when I understand these type of analysis, my understanding of the Atma becomes more and more clear. We are doing a few hundred pages for one mantra. But see the way Shankaracharya brings out the beauty in these analysis. Vedantic Upanishad, next mantra, it says, when a lump of salt is dropped into water, it dissolves. When it is in a dissolved condition, nobody can know the differences in the salt and water. It becomes one. So similarly, our thoughts in the mind are nothing but like salt crystals. They ultimately they get resolved into consciousness. So when the thoughts are appearing to be different, suppose you have emotions, realize, know that these emotions are temporary and they always will resolve into consciousness. Vijnana ghana eva atma. Vijnana ghana means what? Pure consciousness in its nature is called as Vijnana ghana. Without any distinction. Pure knowledge. So much was said about topic number 234. Now, next, let's go to topic number 235. Here, the temporariness and the permanent nature are compared. Anatma continuously changes. It appears, disappears. World is anatma. World comes in the waking state, it goes off in the dream and in the sleep state. Only a subtle mind will understand what I'm saying. Suppose you have not been exposed to Vedanta, you will not accept this state. But we are all studying Vedanta for a long time. Therefore, we can understand what is the difference between waking, dream, and sleep. This waking, dream, sleep analysis is extremely important when we try to understand our real nature. That is why it is taken up in every Upanishad. You will not have a single Upanishad where we don't discuss these three states of consciousness. Chaitanyam is our nature. It remains as Sakshi Chaitanyam all the time. The real I is called as Sakshi. It is not the body, not the mind. It is not the vrittis, the thoughts which rise. It is not the reflected consciousness which is the power behind the mind. This Nitya Chaitanyam is always constant. Nityam is Atma. It never changes. So when we look at this Nitya Chaitanyam, This is what is expressed in Dakshinamurti Stotram and Panchadasi. Now, new in this paragraph, Shankaracharya brings another few quotations. बाल्यादिषु जागृतादिषु तथा वास्तवस्थापि स्वपि व्यावृत्ता स्वनु वर्तमानम changelessly this consciousness is present in all the three states. Not only the three states of waking, dream and sleep, but also in our stages of childhood, boyhood, youth, old age. There is a factor in us which is called as Surya Chaitanyam, which doesn't change at all. That aspect of ours is what Vedanta and the Upanishads reveal. It exists all the time. What Vedanta does is it removes the covering, neti, neti. In Panchadasi, first chapter, we have done this also before. There, Vidyaranya, the author, he says, in the waking state, the objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all these are objects which are perceived. But consciousness which perceives this form and color, consciousness which perceives the sound, consciousness which perceives the touch, consciousness which perceives the taste, consciousness which perceives the smell is ekam. This is a very, very fine understanding of Vedanta. And also becoming aware of that consciousness in you. There is one power which is common to all these five sense objects, and that is why all of us we say, I see, I hear, I smell, I touch. That I is common. That common element is Swarupa Avastha. Swarupa Jnana. What about the touch and the music and the smell and all that? Jnana. So the padhartas, the objects are different, but the power behind which is perceiving is consciousness. Next quotation is from Chandogya Upanishad. There, this is a very, very important mantra for all the Vedantic students. The 6th chapter, 8th section, first mantra. Shankaracharya quotes this so many times. What does he say in this? He describes the nature of what is deep sleep. Try to understand this. Very important. It is a pramana to say, I am Chaitanya. He says, in the deep sleep state, when a person is sleeping, he becomes one with the Sat, one with the Chit, and one with Ananda. When he is in the sleep state, he is one with Paramatma. He is one with his real nature. Sada saumyo tada sampanno bhavati. The third line. Tada sampanno bhavati Swam apito bhavati. He is sleeping means what? Suppose you say a man is sleeping. He is sleeping to his real nature, which is Atma. Suppose a jnani knows that I am that Atma in my sleep state, I am nothing but Atma, then he is called as a jnani. In the sleep state, I am Nitya Chaitanya, pure consciousness, Adhisthana. When we wake up, what happens? There is a reflection of mind in the body and in the mind. With the help of reflection only, the world is inferred. Otherwise, the world doesn't exist. This is the ultimate teaching of Vedanta. World is a temporary phenomena. I, the consciousness, am Satyam. See how brilliantly Shankaracharya brings out the subtle concept of this art. Chidabhasa means reflection. Ahamkara, the I notion. So the aham which we are really is the pure consciousness. The ahamkara is the chidabhasa with the mind, which is not the real I. For example, all of us are listening to the talk, which is called as ahamkara I, which is a pseudo I. It is not the real I. It is mixed up with the body and mind. But the real I is pure consciousness, which I am when I am in the sleep state, but with the knowledge of the Veda. In the waking state, only I can make this statement. I am Turiyam Brahma. I am Chaitanya Atma. In the sleep state, anyway, that is tamasic nature. Nobody can wake up in the sleep state and make this statement. So the non-changing aspect of mind is this Sakshi Chaitanyam. Ekatma Pratyaya. Those people who are studying the Mandukya Upanishad will understand this 15th point very easily. Turiyam is Ekatma Pratyaya Sadhana. One Atma is called as waker, dreamer, state. Prapancha Upashamam. The whole universe resolves into this consciousness. This consciousness is Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. So, if I understand there is only one consciousness, Avyabhichara Swarupa, non-changing Swarupa, then I am called as a jnana. You don't have to be called, you don't have to say, but if in your mind, if you are able to bring about this change, that I am Chaitanyam, I am Satyam, the world which I experience is Mithya, then this is called as binary format. I am the subject, the world is an object, world does not have an independent existence. It is only vritti jnanam. It is like the rope snake which comes about as a vritti in my mind. Whenever there is an instrument called the mind, there is a cognition which happens, knowledge which comes in. It is called as vritti jnanam. It is different than the swarupa jnanam, which is the I, the turiyam. The swarupam is taught to me by the Veda. Without the Upanishads, I cannot know this Atma. The only thing which reveals to me the Atma, like my ears, they can understand the sound. By inquiring into the Veda, into the Upanishads, I will know my real nature as Nitya Chaitanya. Everything else in the world is borrowed Chaitanyam, borrowed existence. Vritti is nothing but it is borrowing consciousness and existence. It does not have its independent existence. Vritti. Okay, so that is all about the 235 topic. Now, this Nitya Advaita Swatantra Chaitanyam, NAS Chaitanyam, it is a short form for Nitya Advaita Swatantra Chaitanya, which I told you some minutes back. Keep a note of these three Sanskrit names. NAS, Nitya Advaita Swatantra Chaitanya. In the next topic, see, Shankaracharya writes so many topics. On what? On one verse. We are studying that one verse, the second verse for the last 2-3 talks. One verse, but so many different topics Shankaracharya brings up. Prasno Upanishad is known only for the 6th chapter. Shodasha Kala Purusha. What that Purusha is, nothing but it is Chaitanya. We are only discussing Chaitanya, which is the Purusha, which appears in the form of the word. Shodasha, the 16 parts, is nothing but it is like just now he said, all the thoughts are nothing but Chaitanya. Any vritti in my mind is Chaitanya. Now, here Shankaracharya wants to prove that this Nitya Advaita Swatantra Chaitanyam is associated not only my body, not only my mind, but it is associated with the entire universe. How? Here we are going to have a debate. There will be a Purva Pakshi and there will be a Siddhanta. Now, first I will discuss the approach of the Vedanta. Then you will understand what the Purva Pakshi is. Nitya Chaitanyam pervades a sentient universe and the insentient universe. When you say pervades means what? There is no world without this sentiency. For example, suppose there are 100 planets outside and nobody has ever known about it. Does it make any difference? No. It is a sentient consciousness principle which becomes aware of the world, then it becomes real, apparently real. So if you have to talk about any object, a distant star, not within the range of your sense organs, like a star, supernova, scientists talk about, know it only through Shabda Pramana. So existence of anything presupposes knownness of that object. This is the first thing we should know. Whenever we say something is existent, Pluto is existing, very, very distant planet. Now, I know, so the existence is assumed first, then only I can talk, then only knownness comes. So knownness and existence are always together. Now, vritti contacts an object directly and indirectly. Vritti contact is required for any type of knowledge. Now, in Vedanta, this is analyzed very much. How do we discuss this? For example, in Dakshinamurti Nana Chitto Darastitamaha, the 4th verse, I've taken Dakshinamurti Stotram. You'll find videos of mine on this verse in the Vedanta website. A vritti goes out. See, my mind has got a reflection of consciousness. That consciousness flows through my eyes into the object. It goes and it goes and pervades the object. Then I am aware of the object. Similarly, the sound, similarly, the smell, similarly, the touch also. So, knownness proves vritti samban. I know something means what? There is a vritti, a thought is there in my mind. Existence requires knownness. It requires chit samban. So, without, what is the other way of saying the same thing? Without chit, you can't have an object in creation. There must be something in this creation which is lending this existence and consciousness to the creation. Creation by itself cannot know itself because it is jadam. So the easiness is always coming from a sat chit vastu. I see red color, but I'm not sure whether I have eyes. Suppose you say this. You'll be foolish, isn't it? Suppose you say, I see red color. That means you are having eyes which is seeing it. But suppose you say, no, I don't think I have eyes. It is like saying that I'm conscious of the world, but I don't think I am conscious. I am consciousness. Rupam or form, I can say it is because of chakshu only. Without chakshu, I cannot say that that is a red color or a red flower or a blue color. Similarly, without consciousness, you can never say that the vastu exists, that the world exists. Vyabhicharati na vyabhicharati. Vyabhicharati in Sanskrit means changing. Changing world. Na vyabhicharati, there is only one thing. That is Chaitanya. Whatever is changeless is in Vedanta called as Adhishtanam. Whatever it is. And whatever is changing is called as Adhyasa. Apply this rule to waking, dream, sleep. Everything in the world is changing. Therefore, waking, dream, and sleep is Adhyasa. Consciousness is not changing. The seer is the same in the dream, same seer is in the sleep, the same seer is there in the waking. Objects are different, but I can negate the objects by apavada. So, any known object is called as neyam. Neyam means known object, seen object, experienced object. It is vyabhicharati. It is changing. Non-changing is the screen. Movie is the vyabhicharati. The entire world is like the movie. The screen is like the consciousness. Changeless. So when one object goes away, suppose in sleep, body goes away. In death also body goes away. In pralayam also body goes away. But consciousness which was behind the body in all the states, all the stages, that is stationary. It never changes. What do the Shanika Vijnanavadins say? Whenever there is knowledge is not there, they say consciousness is not there. This is the problem with the other schools of thought. No jnanam will be there to illumine the second object. See, in the sleep state, in Vedanta Upanishad, it says that consciousness is there, but objects are not there. Same thing in death also. Consciousness is there, but the objects, for knowing the objects, you need a medium called the body and mind. Again and again, thinking I am the consciousness will give me the reality for myself. Okay, I've given some other details about what the scientists say. Basically, we should know that Nitya Adhisthana Swatantra Chaitanyam is there in all the states. And that is what the Pippalada, the teacher, is trying to bring to the student, Sukesha, that this principle, which is Shodasha Kala Purusha, it is there in the body as the existence, as the consciousness principle, without which nobody can say, I am, no, I am. The pure nature is I am. After I am will come body. I am a female body. I am a male. I am intelligent. I am dull. I have a mind which has got no memory. All those are all irrelevant. So Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam is what Shankaracharya drills in all these mantras which we have, in all this Bhashyam which we have studied today. If you have any doubts regarding Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam, please ask me at the end of today's session, because that is the central teaching in today's discussion. Swarupa Jnanam is Atma Jnanam. There is no location for that. It is Advitiyam, it is Satyam, it can independently exist. And that is my real nature when I am sleeping. And it is called as Adhishthanam for the experience of the world. Experience of the world is Vritti Jnanam, which comes about only with the help of Triputi, when the mind and the instrument, the sense organs are active. Whatever is the Vritti Jnanam is called as Mithya Jnanam. It is Anityam. It is Adhyasa. If these two principles are understood, you will understand the nature of the Purusha very clearly, which is mentioned in this section. Vritti Jnanam is not totally different than Swarupa Jnanam. There is some similarity. The definition of Maya in Vivek Brahmani is given in this verse 109. Very worth noting this. Maya, what is the definition of Maya? This is the definition of Maya. Maya means what? The world which we experience. The world which we experience, which is called as Maya, cannot be known to be existent, or cannot be known to be non-existent also. I have repeated this many times. Why it cannot be said to be existent? Because it goes away in the sleep state. Why it cannot be said to be non-existent? Because it is only an appearance. It is an appearance. I can experience that. Therefore, you can't say it is non-existent. Therefore, what is it? It is seemingly existent. Vichara Sagara, a very beautiful text, talks about this Anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means it is Maya. Very beautiful text. It discusses this in one of the chapters. There are about 7,000 pages of notes on Vichara Sagara in my website. The biggest notes I have written on a text is this text called Vichara Sagara. Huge text. It takes a long time to listen to the text, understand the text, write the notes, get it typed, and then put in the website. So in this text, there is a the analysis. The whole text is not. I'll just give you 2 minutes. Where I just want to explain what is Vichara Sagar. There are three types of students in Vichara Sagara. The whole story of Vichara Sagara is an inquiry into the three students. One is a very intelligent student, Uttama Adhikari. Then second one is Madhyama. And the last one is Adhama. Vichara Sagara discusses how all these three people, they get moksha. The Uttama Adhikari, the one who thinks that he has got a very bright intellect, which all of us will also think, because we have been studying Vedanta for such a long time. He understands what is Maya. That is what makes him an Uttama Adhikari. Suppose I also understand the world of experience is Maya, I will also say I am an Uttama Adhikari. I am an eligible student to understand Atma. And what is Maya definition? Seemingly existing world. If I know the world is seeming, then what? Very easy. For every mithya vastu, there must be an adhishtanam. That is a rule. Advaita Vedanta says, for any, you take for any mithya vastu, whether it is a rope snake, you will have a rope. If there is a shell silver, you will have a shell. If there is a mirage water, you will have the sand. If there is a dream, you will have a waker. If there is a waker, there is Atma. The knowledge of the Atma, the Turiya Atma, is called as Swarupa Jnanam. During my waking state, during my transaction state, the Vritti Jnanam will be predominant. Many people, they come to me, they ask me, how to know that I am Atma while I am transacting with the world? This is the way. Know that you are Atma, Swarupa Jnanam. Pure Atma is my real nature. Vritti Jnanam is an incidental nature. You know this while transacting, while being a waker. And if you can know this, you are called a Jnani. Very beautiful sections, are very clear instructions by Shankaracharya. These notes are phenomenal. You go through them slowly in your own leisure. It takes time. Vedanta is not something which you can do very fast, because we are dealing with our subtle instrument called as the mind. This mind is something which needs to be shown the vision of Atma. This mind is always seeing the external world, full of gross sense objects. Ghata Jnanam, full of Vritti Jnanams. Slowly, the Vritti Jnanam mind has to understand, I am the Swarupa Jnanam Atma. Jnanam and Jnayam are twins. They go together. Jnayam means knowledge, continuously changing, as per the Vrittis. In the vritti part is changing. Ghata, vriksha, patha, manusha, vrittis are changing. But the chidabhasa, the reflection, also is changing. What is not changing in the vritti? The chit aspect, which you will know only from Veda. See, the vrittis you can understand because they are your own emotions. Known to you. Reflection of consciousness you can infer. But consciousness, original consciousness, the existence of original consciousness, you will know only from the Upanishads. Brahma Vidya can be had only from Prasno Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, because the topic, the subject matter is Atma. So a thought borrows Chidabhasa, thought borrows Sat. We say, I have a thought, but the thought, I have a thought exists. That existence portion is belonging to Swarupa Jnana. In Panchadasi, we have seen Nataka Deepa Prakaranam. The light is comparable to the consciousness, which is Avyabhichari Swarupa. This I have already taken, this verse number 7 today of Dakshinamurti. Now comes the Purva Paksha portion. I will take this up, this 22nd point of this particular portion of the Shankaracharya's commentary. The Purva Paksha, I will take it up next week. The time is up for today. We'll continue with this topic next week. What does the opponent feel about this Vritti Jnanam, Swarupa Jnanam? We'll discuss that next week. Okay. So now with this, we'll stop for our session on Prasno Upanishad. As I told you, this topic of Prasno Upanishad goes on. Right now, we are doing the 4th volume, and this volume itself has got another 30-40 pages. Slides, and this volume we'll take next week. Probably we'll complete it next week, and this has got up to 770. After this, there are 2 more volumes. That means another 400 slides for only 2-3 mantras. But this is Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. Very elaborate. Because in the last week also, I asked the question to all the people who are attending. I asked them, do you want me to continue, or do you want me to finish this within one session for the whole Upanishad? I can do that because only 2-3 mantras are there. But if you want to study the Bhashyam, it takes a long time. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, Manikandan, can you go ahead?
Thank you, Sakaji. Today's session is very, very beautiful, and it's helping the mind to become more circular. The difference between the Vrittinanam and the Swarupananam.
Yeah.
So my question is, this Swarupananam is converted into Vrittinanam is because of the Ishvara's Maya, that because
Correct.
of the creation that.
That's correct.
And the other part is whenever we do transaction, it is very clearly mentioned that the Swarupananam is always available. Only
Correct.
thing our mind is focusing on the external world.
Yes.
And with the help of Shruti and Bhagavad Gita, where we can identify our real nature. Uh, the only struggle what I am facing is that even though we bring this knowledge again and again, the completeness or the the fullness, we are not able to. I mean, the Ananda.
Correct.
Last time we discussed about the
Yes.
Anandagiris, doubt of how to have this happiness. This is
Yes.
the only area where if you can give some advice, like we can bring the knowledge, but after bringing the knowledge, we know that it is non-changing consciousness and nityam, and also uh, it's always available. But how we can move away our mind from this external happiness to the internal happiness.
Very good question. Yeah. Thank you, Manikandan. Uh, the only way is becoming more and more aware of this consciousness in our life. Now, how do I become aware of this consciousness? Basically, what you can do at the end of every day or at the beginning of every day, just think about where was our life yesterday and what happened to that yesterday. Every day when you think of your previous day, that previous day's experience is gone. Again, you are facing the world, your mind is facing another day. So, what you have to know yourself is I am the Sakshi, which is changeless. Yesterday also I was a Sakshi. I was also a Sakshi the last week. But every time I always used to think that I am the Ahamkara and I used to conduct the work. So, trying to be the Ahamkara as the real is the problem. We cannot change the Ahamkara. That is left to Ishvara. That experiences of the Ahamkara is law of karma. It will come, it will go. But what I can really do is try to see for myself. See, Vedanta is an inquiry into our own experiences and understanding the truth. That's all. So my experience is yesterday it came, it went away. Tomorrow will also come, it will go away. But I am the pure Sakshi. I come to realize this only from Vedanta. Only from the scriptures I come to realize my real Swarup. So your question is very, very valid because you are still looking at your experiences not as mithya, but as satya. The moment you change your vision of your experiences as mithya, I have no control over this mithya experiences. I have only control over the knowledge that mithya cannot exist. I am the satya vastu. I am the satya Atma behind all the experiences. That knowledge has to sink in. It only comes by Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidithyasa. Suppose you have heard only Shravanam. It's like the coffee which has been made, and sugar has been put, but the sugar has not been stirred. Then the coffee will taste as if there is no sugar in the coffee, because that churning has not happened. Similarly, in our mind, we have heard, I am Atma, but still I'm looking at my body and saying, my body experiences are still going on. How do I get rid of these experiences? Shruti keeps on saying the experiences are mithya, they are appearances. Take it as a dream and don't think too much about the dream world. Like you drop the dream world of the last week, you don't even think about it today. Similarly, don't think about today's experiences. Let the experiences come. What you do is you just acknowledge that these are all experiences. I have no control on the experiences because these are all prarabdha karma exhaustion. These are all experiences which will come and go for the body's journey in this creation. Am I making some sense, Manikandan?
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. I think this is the area I need to improve on, like considering the
Good.
experience as a real. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you. Thank you, Manikandan. Good. I mean, see, these things, like I said, it takes time. So don't get disappointed that I'm still experiencing all this and all that. Just to say that these are all mithya experiences. I'll not be too much bothered about it. I will do the best I can. I won't be dragged by it to make my mind unhappy. Mind will still go through the emotions, but don't let the emotions go away. A time will come, there will be absolutely only this consciousness you will be aware of. That time will also come. Let it go through. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. If there are no other questions, we'll stop today. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.